What actually happens during a home inspection when you're buying a home? Something I always cover with my clients in the early consultation phase is what the home inspection is. And today you're gonna come on a live home inspection with my boy Terry Darling from Home Safe Inspections. Let's take a look. Terry, give me a quick rundown. What happens during a home inspection? What are we looking for today?
Sure, yeah. So we're doing a condo today. With a condo inspection, typically we're gonna start in the kitchen where our appliances are. We're gonna test all the major appliances that are fixed. Oven, this has a hood, dishwasher, and refrigerator here. Then we're gonna operate the plumbing. The dishwasher's already running. We turned that on when we first got here. Make sure that that is operating properly and not leaking. And then we're gonna check the plumbing at the sink, all the cabinets and the electrical outlets to make sure they're GFCI rated for protection because the kitchen's a wet area. So
what does a GFCI mean?
So it stands for ground fault current interruption. And what that means is the current that's running through the outlet, if it becomes interrupted, like if I had a toaster that fell in and the sink was on, you know, that current is gonna understand that there's a break in it and it's gonna lose current rather than continue so that I'm not electrocuted. So that's why we want GFCI outlets near wet areas. So kitchens, bathrooms, and outdoor areas all should be GFCI. And this kitchen, we're gonna check, because this was a build in probably, I think 93, 94. And you can see these two outlets are not GFCI. Now, they're not exactly within 6 feet of the water source, but we inspect to safety. And what do you boil water? You know, what do you boil your pasta with? Water, right? So you have water here on the stove in the counter area. So we always recommend that any counter outlet in a kitchen should be GFCI for protection.
Got it. He's running the water here. All right, we like to go over everything like a fine-tooth comb. Something I tell my clients is the home inspector's job is to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb here, including plumbing, electrical, everything else. Right? He's kind of making sure that for the best comparison that you're not buying a lemon, right? You want to go into this place when you're buying a home knowing everything that's possibly wrong with the home. And that way, that gives us the ability to possibly negotiate credits or fixes before you actually close on the property. Really goes a long way in terms of giving you a little bit of leverage as a buyer, things like that. Now, from a seller's perspective, before you sell a home, if you're looking to sell it as is, doing a pre-home inspection might be a good thing to have a guy like Terry come in so that you know exactly what needs to be fixed and you can plan accordingly for when the buyer has their home inspection. Now, Terry, I see you taking a bunch of pictures of things like that for your report. What are you taking pictures of? What are you looking at when I just saw you peek in there in the fridge? What are you looking for?
Sure, yeah. So one of the things that we report on is age of the appliances so that you know how old your appliance is and you know where it is in its lifespan, hopefully, or its estimated lifespan. So serial data plate will tell us that, and we put that in the report so that if you need to reference your data plate or your serial number, you can do that. This fridge is from 2024, so we're going to report that. And
just for the record, guys, 2024 is clearly not old, but he's going to put it in everything just so we know the age of everything for our buyer.
And another thing that a serial number and a data plate can be helpful with is if there's a recall on an appliance, like a dishwasher recall or a microwave recall, that'll tell you that. If the appliance is under recall, then you can look it up to see if the recall was satisfied or not, which is something that is always a good idea when you're buying a home.
So there's your data plate there that Terry just took a picture of. That's on the inside of the dishwasher. And what he's looking for under here, something that Terry and I catch a lot, and shockingly on new construction, this dishwasher drains with a hose under the sink. See that clear hose there? All right, so that's gonna drain under the sink and into the trap here. And a lot of times when these things are installed, sometimes that comes loose, and a common thing that we find when we're on these is that there's a little bit of a leak there. And it's an easy fix, but it's something that we have to report. What are you shooting up there at that vent there, Terry?
So what we're checking here, this is a temperature gun, and we're checking the temperature at the air supply. We just turned the air on, so it's still getting a little cooler. So we're gonna check it again in about 15 to 20 minutes. When you're looking for air supply differential, you want 12 to 18 degrees delta from the supply and the return. And that'll tell you, if the unit is operating properly and giving you sufficient cooling air. So this one, like I said, we need to let it go for a few more minutes. We're not quite at that level, but hopefully we'll get there later on in the inspection.
Got it. Now, Tara,
Yeah.
what's going through your head as you're doing this stuff?
Well, I mean, we're making the round through the living room, and
There's my assistant Vera. She's working with us today.
So Vera's going to help us today. So we check all the outlets. You want to help me check this outlet? So take this. Let's do it together. We're going to plug it in right here, and we're going to make sure that these two are lit up. Are they lit up? The middle and the right. That means the electrician did a good job when they put it in. So that's good. So I go through, we check all the outlets. This room's nice and easy because it's vacant. And then after I have the outlets checked, I'm going to check the windows and the switches, the fan, which we just checked. And then we have the air running, and then we're going to take a check and a reading on the temperature. And then when I go through the room, when we're finished, we'll go back and note any defects. With this room, we had a couple of defects. The window on the right won't open, and the window on the left, it's pretty difficult to open. I'm going to try to open it. As you can see. And then we're missing the screens. So a couple of things there, but try to make a pass through the room, check all the outlets, windows, returns, and then make notes on our defects. Before we move on, we're going to head upstairs. In this unit, it's a little unusual because the utilities are on the second floor. So we're going to head up there with a gas detector, moisture meter, and check the gas connection for the furnace and the dryer, make sure no gas leaks, and head upstairs next.
Beautiful, let's do that. And by the way, guys, if we haven't met, my name's Tom Worley, and I've been helping buyers and sellers navigate the real estate market for over a decade. If you have any questions, you guys can text the number on the screen, or you can fill out my free scheduling guide in the description below and learn about what this consultation and what this buying process looks like. There's also a free buyer's guide link in there as well. So what we're doing right now is Terry's opening the actual electric panel because he wants to check all of this wiring. Right, electrical is a big issue, causes a lot of fires every year, everything else, right? So you want to make sure that this stuff is all properly done. Terry, what are we looking for when we open the electrical box on the home inspection?
Yeah, so Tom, with a condo, the electrical box is really important. I mean, it's important on any property, but so with a condo, it's typically a sub panel, meaning the main shutoff isn't inside this panel. It's usually outside the unit, and it is in this case. So we're looking at the entry for all the wires, make sure everything's closed up well. The neutrals are on a separate bus bar from the ground, which it should be because this is a sub panel. We're looking for our branch wiring, make sure it's copper, not aluminum, which it is, and we expected that in a building of this age anyway. And then we're looking for things like double tap breakers, double tap neutrals, things that could cause issues throughout the home with electric. This, it's an older panel. This is a 93 build, I think, but it looks good.
What's a common problem that you see when you open up these panels? What's
Sure.
like the go-to that always happens?
Yeah, so a common issue is a double tap breaker, which would be, we don't have one here to show you, but as you can see, all of these breakers have one wire individual on each screw head. Oftentimes, a defect is when you have more than one wire on one breaker, and what that can do is a couple of things. It can overheat a breaker because it's pulling too much amperage. The screw may not make a good connection under the wire, and it can become loose, which can cause arcing inside. So that's a common defect we find often. An electrician can correct that pretty easily. But
what's the cost? What's an average cost of correcting something like that?
Well, to get an electrician to walk in the doors, usually $300 or more. So keep that in mind. But to put a new breaker in, you're probably looking at between $300 and $500.
So what I'm hearing is make sure that you have a friend that's an electrician.
That's always a good idea, for sure.
What are we looking at now?
So this is a thermal imaging camera, and what this does is it tells us temperature differential. So we're looking at the water heater with it. I don't know if you can get the water heater in the background and the camera in the forefront, but that's showing. So you see that where the heat is, that's the bright area there. And that's all fine and good, but we use this as well on ceilings because you're looking for leaks. So if you have a leak, it's going to show up with a temperature differential or a dark spot. And it's especially helpful in condos because we have a unit above us that we're not able to get into to see what's going on. So this camera often does find a leak that we otherwise would not see. If we see an anomaly with this, then we put the moisture meter on it and it can tell us more accurately exactly what's going on. But this is a terrific tool which helps not only find leaks, but also electrical hotspots in panels and in receptacles.
So Terry, something I always educate my clients on is what I call the big three, right? Gas, water, and electric shutoffs. And I see right here is the water main and the water shutoff for the unit. Tell me a little bit about this.
Sure, and you're right, Tom, big three, and it's one of the things in our report you find early on. It's in our FYI section, which is where the electric, the water, and the gas are located. This is the water main. It has two shutoff valves on either side of the meter, and this is copper. The water main coming in is copper. That's important because in New Jersey, especially in older housing, we still find lead water mains. And that's something that your insurance companies are asking about. And as a homeowner, you want to know because there is no safe level of lead. So this one's copper. Lead, there are some certain things to look for. Usually there's a bulb on it, and the metal, as opposed to being like tinny like that, it sounds more like that, like a thud. But it's one of the things that your home inspector is going to look for and report to you where your shutoffs are and the material. And this one, this is a 93 build, so it's copper as we expected it to be. But if you ever have a water leak in your home, you want to know where that is so you can shut it off immediately so you don't have any further damage.
Now talk to me about it while we're in here. We've got a bunch of systems in this closet, right? We've got our AC unit, our heating and air conditioning unit, and we've got our water heater. What's the lifespan of some of these types of things?
Sure. So our water heater's over here in the corner. Turn this air handler off while we talk. And this is gas-fired water heater. Typical life on a water heater is about 8 to 12 years. I mean, I've seen them last a lot longer. I had one that was 29 years old, and we replaced it. It was still working. And I've seen them that go out after 2 years, but average is about 10 years. This one, manufactured in 2021, so it's relatively young at 5 years old. And so far it's been operating well. We had good hot water throughout the home. One thing with this PEX is basically right at the entry point to the water tank, and typically it should be 18 inches of copper before we have PEX going into the water heater. So one defect with this, but other than that, this water heater at 40 gallons is adequate size for this 2-bedroom condo. And then this is our furnace and air handler. Gonna guess this is original, but that's one of the things we're gonna look up here in a minute. And a little dirty, but we're gonna get the age here on the data plate. And this is an interior furnace, meaning it's inside the living space. So we're gonna check these gas joints and make sure there are no gas leaks as well.
And what's the typical lifespan on one of these furnaces and HVAC units?
So a furnace, you know, typically about 20 years, but annual maintenance before the start of every heating season is one way to help ensure that it does have a good long life for you, because the technician is going to look at it and then replace anything that needs to be corrected, clean it, and make sure that it's operating well for you before the heating season starts.
That's the washer.
And that's the washer. All right.
Now Terry, how old is this HVAC unit here?
This unit manufactured in '93, so this is original to the build. And, you know, I mean, a little rust, a little dirty inside. It is operating. We still need to check the delta or the differential on our temperature for the AC and the AC condenser outside. But typical life on this kind of unit, you know, is around 20 years, so we've exceeded that. It doesn't mean necessarily that it needs to be replaced. I mean, if I lived in this unit and owned it right now and it's working, I probably wouldn't replace it, but I would be prepared to replace it because you're kind of living on borrowed time.
And for a buyer, my job there is to take that information and negotiate some form of credit to help out with that, or we can get creative and have the seller pay for a PSE&G worry-free insurance plan to cover this system should it break in the first couple of years. There are creative ways to get past the age of these systems. So it's not necessarily something to panic about and kill a deal over, because we can overcome it, but it is something that you absolutely need to know. All right, guys, that's a wrap on the meat and potatoes of the home inspection. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Feel free to comment or drop any questions below. I try to answer all of them personally. Make sure to subscribe for more educational videos just like this and home tours. Click the link if you want to learn more. Click the link in the description to get your consultation or download your free buyer's guide. Stay tuned for the next one, guys. Catch up with you soon.